What's up, internet friends? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to look at frame rates, more specifically frame rates on the Canon 90D. We're going to do 120 frames per second versus 60 frames slow motion. Is there a difference? Can you tell the difference? We're going to find out. You see, I'm making this video because over the last few years, YouTube has ingrained in my brain that if you don't shoot your slow motion B-roll in 120 frames or higher, it's going to look like garbage. I just don't think that's true, and today I'm going to prove that myth wrong. Let's have a look. So here we are in Final Cut Pro, and I have my two clips that I shot back to back, one in 120 frames per second, the other in 60 frames per second. What I'm going to do real quick is name each of these so we don't get confused. Now, it doesn't really matter what editing software you're using. I'm just using Final Cut for this example because that's my main go-to. If you're using Premiere, the same rules will apply here. So on MacBook, I select the clip I want to drag into my timeline and click E, and the same for the second clip. This, by the way, is a 24 frames per second timeline. And what I like about Final Cut is that it has this drop-down menu. You can select automatic speed, and what that does to your clip is it turns it into the relative percentage, so you don't have to worry about typing in the percentage that you want to slow the clip down by. If for whatever reason the editing software that you have doesn't have something like this, I'm going to leave this chart on the screen for a couple of seconds so you can see what you need to slow down your footage by. So as you can see, Final Cut slowed down my 120 frames per second to 80%. That is its relative percentage for slow motion. And for the 60 frames per second, it slowed it down to 40%. So now let's have a look at both of these clips side by side. See if you can tell which one is 60 frames per second, A or B, and I'll let you know in a second. So you might have noticed that a 60 frames per second doesn't look as slow as a 120 frames per second, and that makes sense. There is something you can add to this footage to give it the illusion that it's recorded at a slower frame rate, and that's called Optical Flow. So in our speed menu here, we're going to go all the way down to video quality, and you'll see Optical Flow, and you're going to click on that. And basically what Optical Flow is doing here is it's adding new frames to fill in the gaps to give the illusion of smoother, slower footage. So let's have a look at those clips again side by side, this time with Optical Flow turned on to 60 frames per second. Okay, so that's our first side-by-side clip. Let's have a look at another example. If you guessed 60 frames per second for clip A, you would be correct. Congratulations. And for this final part of the video, I shot a B-roll sequence in, well, you can guess what frame rate. I shot this sequence in the style of every other YouTuber ever, with my wife who helped me out for a couple of minutes. And I really feel now, as I'm bookending this video, that it's more for me than anything else. This is a reminder that your ideas will be way more important than the frame rate you use any day of the week. Let's take a look at this B-roll, see what you think. So what is the takeaway here today? Well, obviously the 120 frames per second looks better than a 60 frames per second when it comes to slow motion. But what I hope you get from this video is that 60 frames absolutely will suffice. If it's all you have, if you only have a camera that has 60 frames as its highest frame rate and you want to do some slow motion B-roll or whatever, I hope that this video will show you that that is more than enough to use. And I'm genuinely curious to hear what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. Do you shoot 60 frames per second for your slow-mo? Do you shoot 120 or above? Let me know. I'm genuinely curious to hear what you guys think. If you haven't already, please do subscribe, like this video, and I'll see you in another one soon. Bye.